Hey everyone, it's Kim Adams here. Facebook Live at noon here Eastern Time. We're talking about money. Come with your money questions. And I will have a summary of money blocks that I'll go through. But I'm looking forward to chatting with you and let's just having a discussion on money blocks, money mindset. That's what it's all about in this conversation. So let's see, I'll give you an introduction to myself. So Lee was nice enough to invite me here. My name's Kimberly Adams. Call me Kim. And I live in Pittsburgh. I'm born and raised in the Pittsburgh area. Spent many, many years, 3 decades actually, in hardcore financial services, mostly in the tax field. So I've been in the business and tax field for a long time. But in addition to that, I've also been totally into personal growth and transformation. So I've been a total junkie on anything related to abundance, growing, spirituality. So I've been spending about 3 decades doing that too. And so what I've experienced and what I've seen when it comes to money is a lot of people think that if they just had more financial know-how, if they had, more expertise when it comes to finance, accounting, tax, that they would have more money. But we know that's not true, because if that was the case, every financial person would have money, and that's not the case at all. There's a lot of financial planners that feel insecure because they're helping clients, create wealth, but they themselves don't have it. And we know how that is. You always have so much more emotional baggage when you're attached to your own stuff, right? So I've found in working with business owners over the years that it really is mindset that blocks people. It's blocks, it's traumas. And so over the past several years, I've done some more intensive work in just what creates money blocks. And so what I'm going to do is discuss what I consider the top 5 money blocks. And money blocks in general are 3 things, right? So there are your thoughts around your money. There are your feelings around your money. I'm going to stop this for a second to make sure this is working. I had trouble with Facebook Live last week. I want to make sure that, because I don't see anybody here, so I'm trying to make sure that this is actually taking. Oh, there's one person there. If you could someone could comment and just let me know if people are here. I had trouble with Facebook Live last week where it wasn't working. There was, you couldn't hear me, and I had to reinstall. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Carol, can you hear me too? I see that you can see me. Can you guys hear me? I had trouble with audio last week. I had to reinstall Facebook. Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so great. You can hear me. So I gave a little bit of, okay, awesome. Thanks, Carol. Nice to have you guys here. Kathy, Carol. Hang on. Manya, is that how you say your name? Manja. Anyway, thanks for being here. Old age, I have to put my glasses on to see this text, but I don't want to have them on the whole time. Okay, Manya, okay, great to have you here. Okay, so I gave a little bit of background of just me, long time in the tax field, but also totally into transformation and personal growth. I've been a total junkie in that. So the first thing I want to talk about, what I consider the number 1 block for money. There's 5 different types of blocks. And I mentioned too that your blocks around money, our relationship with money is based on 3 things. It's based on thoughts, feelings, and traumas, things that have happened to us in our past, whether it was early childhood or throughout our lives, things that have impacted us and traumatized our nervous system, so that it impacts our finances from that point on. All right. So the first block is a biggie, and it's early childhood programming. And we're using money as the metaphor here, but early childhood programming impacts us in many more ways than money. But when it comes to money, You have heard messages that impacted what you think about money and how you feel about money. So depending on what type of household you grew up in, a lot of people heard scarcity messages, messages like, we can't afford that, money doesn't grow on trees. Why don't you get a real job, right? Why don't you pick a safe career, a safe degree in college? And so that's pretty common for a lot of people, especially a lot of us that were raised by kind of the great generation. Like, I'm a baby boomer, so my parents were both, my dad was in World War II, for goodness sake. So my parents were that great generation that really kind of came out of World War II, part of the 50s, the Industrial Revolution. And a lot of that generation, I feel like, lived in scarcity. Not everybody, but a lot of them do. So you hear messages like that. And that impacts your view on money. And what happens when you hear messages like that in early childhood is that there are two types of vows that occur as a result of childhood, and vows that we have to our tribe of origin. Because deep-seated in us is this need to, one, be loyal to the tribe, right? So our parents, our family of origin, our extended family, there's a deep-seated need in us to be loyal to the tribe because, years ago, loyalty to the tribe meant survival. And unfortunately, in some parts of the world, it's still like that. So there's this deep-seated nervous system need to be loyal to the tribe. And so what happens for many people is that as we grow up, right, as we operate with that 5% conscious mind, that, the statistics are pretty daunting when it comes to how much of your mind is conscious and how much of it is subconscious programming. I mean, I see things like upwards of 95% of our 95% of our mind is subconscious programming, right? So our actions are really driven by the subconscious. And so what happens many times is people, we're trying to move ahead in life with our little 5% conscious mind, trying to set goals and reach them and create money and wealth in our lives. But many times that pushes up against a loyalty vow. So it pushes up against our vow to be loyal to the tribe. And if we heard messages about people that have wealth as being bad or greedy, or messages that, you can't be spiritual if you have money. If you heard things like that, that affects you when you try to then make a lot of money, right? So if your parents had that thought process and you picked up on that, you may not think that now on a conscious level, right? So a lot of this stuff is not conscious. It's very subconscious. And that's why you'll self-sabotage. You start making a lot of money. Doesn't feel comfortable. If my parents didn't make a lot of money, I feel like I'm being disloyal to my parents. And so that will cause what we call resistance patterns. You'll start seeing either, distraction. I can't focus on anything. I'm distracted. I can't seem to make any progress. I'm at a plateau. Or a full-blown self-sabotage where you hurt yourself. I mean, many injuries are self-sabotaging mechanisms, okay? Because it just feels like uncomfortable, right? So loyalty vow is a biggie when it comes to early childhood programming. The second vow that we make, or that we have commonly with our family of origin, is called a battle vow. And so the battle vow is the need to move beyond the tribe. And so we usually have both of these going on. There's usually just one more that's dominant than the other. So we have a loyalty vow to the tribe, but we also have a battle vow where we want to move beyond the tribe. We want to make more, be more than our parents. The way that these two vows will represent themselves with money. Okay, so the way that they translate into money issues is the loyalty vow will keep you stuck. All right, you'll kind of feel like you're not making progress. Like, why the heck am I not making progress? I'm working so hard. I'm not making any progress. And that's many times it's because of a loyalty vow. And I'll give you my personal story because I did not grow up with like scarcity messaging, okay? My mother was really anti-poor mouthing, but I grew up very middle class. My dad was an auto mechanic. My mom was a bookkeeper that went back to work when my younger sister got to a certain age. So I didn't hear like that money doesn't grow on trees kind of stuff, okay? But I did have this loyalty vow to my mom, who I felt in doing some coaching with a coach. I realized I had this loyalty vow to my mom, who had never really been able to pursue her dream of going to college. She was really smart, but back in that day, my grandfather had saved money only for their son to go, my mom's brother to go to school, not for the girls, right? So my mother wasn't able to go to college. And so in doing some of the processing, I've never really had money issues. I've always been pretty financially secure, but the vow that I had was to my mother was to not like be big, right? Not play a big game and not really go for it. And that was really huge for me. And so healing that vow to my mom and realizing that I could honor her by going for my dream, right? Not being loyal to her by not going for it, but honoring her by going for it. Does that make sense to you guys? That was a big aha for me. And honestly, I would not have seen that myself. That's why having a coach is like so critical. It was really a coach that helped me see that I had this vow to like almost like not play big, right? Just to stay small, right? Be loyal to my mom. So that was a loyalty vow that affected me. The battle vow, the way the battle vow will translate into money issues is you will see more of a feast and famine with your money, okay? So if you've got a battle vow, and normally I said we have a little bit of both of these, right? So we have a loyalty vow to our parents and our family of origin, but we've also got this battle vow because it is each generation's kind of mission, right? To evolve and go beyond the previous generation. But you tend to have one more than the other, and sometimes you'll have a different one with different parents too. Like you might have a loyalty vow with your mom, but maybe a battle vow with your dad. So the way the battle vow translates in money is that it will be more of a feast or famine kind of situation. So you'll have money, and then whether you take on debt or you'll do something to kind of sabotage the money. And so that's a battle vow playing out. And so once you're able to heal that, though, you will stop self-sabotaging and hold on to your money. So many times people will make great money. I've had clients that make great money but can't seem to hold on to it, right? They either rack up more debt or they spend it on something like frivolous. They can't seem to like keep it. And so that's an issue too. So anyway, block number one is early childhood programming. And I mentioned money is the metaphor that we're using, right? But so much of how we are is a result of our early programming. A lot of some of the vows that we also pick up. Thanks, guys, for the love and the likes. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I appreciate you. We work for hearts here. What was I saying? So a couple of the big vows. And when I say a vow, I mean it's like a deep-seated belief you have, okay? I'm going to share with you the two that affect your money the most, all right? So vows, V as in victory, O-W-S is what I'm saying, vows, like the vow to be sacred or something. So the vows are deep-seated beliefs that we have. And then we also stay true to these. So the two biggest vows that impact our money are, number one, it's the vow to be invisible. Okay, the vow to be invisible is a solar plexus, third chakra vow. Okay, so for many of you, if you're familiar with Christian Michelson's tribe and you're into peace processing, when you feel something in your gut, when he has us peace process something, which is basically finding, if you're not familiar with that, peace processing is finding the emotion or finding the issue in your body. So if you're upset about something, frustrated, you find it in your body. When you find it in your gut, all right, your stomach, intestinal area, gut, solar plexus, stomach area, that's the vow to be invisible. And when you think about that, like kids sometimes, we're kind of, meant to be seen and not heard. I think that's changing. I think parenting is changing. But a lot of us have made this vow to be invisible, to kind of stay with the flow, keep with the program, not make waves, kind of keep ourselves down. And so the way that translates or affects your money situation is you won't play a bigger game, right? You won't go for it. You won't, be that business owner or do what you love to do that is a gift to the world and energizes you. Okay, so that's the first vow that we make. The second one is the vow to be perfect. All right. Yeah, that's where we are now, Sylvia. If it's in your chest, and I can resonate with this because this has been a biggie for me, the vow to be perfect is in your heart chakra. Okay. When you feel something in your heart, it's the vow to be perfect. Anybody relate to being perfect? Want to be perfect? If you're a knowledgeable achiever, personality type, yeah, I use the Reese Thomas person or life purpose profiles. I'm not sure if you've heard of Reese Thomas. You spell his name R-H-Y-S. And so I've worked with, I've worked with Margaret Lynch. I'm actually a tapping into wealth coach with her. And Reese Thomas, she uses his profile. So he has a book out that's awesome. You guys should read his book. It's called The Life Purpose Profiles. Hey guys, I see you there. Sylvia, Pamela, thanks for being here. So the vow to be perfect is very common among knowledgeable achiever personality types, of which I'm one. I'm either first or secondary on knowledgeable achiever. So the vow to be perfect, all right? And the vow to be perfect translates into you always striving and never arriving. Does that resonate with anybody? Striving, but not arriving. And so what happens with that vow to be perfect is, technically anything you do could have always been done better, right? So it's never perfect. But what really the vow to be perfect does for you is it blocks receipt of wealth and money because you don't feel deserving. And it's an unconscious feeling. It's not that you consciously say I don't deserve something, but deep down the vow to be perfect, and heck, I'm a firstborn pleaser, so I have it bad. The vow to be perfect blocks receipt because you don't feel deserving, And I had a funny story with a client who told me this, and she was definitely knowledgeable achiever type, had a big vow to be perfect, right? So common. And she told me the story about how at 16, her parents bought her a car. Like most 16-year-olds would be like, hee-haw, right? She was like, oh my God, how could you do that? I didn't deserve that. I didn't earn it. And I thought, oh my God, wow, that's huge. Like big vow to be perfect. She couldn't accept this car because she didn't feel like she deserved it. That was kind of an extreme example. That's so you. Yeah, that's a lot of us, Carol. The vow to be perfect. And so those two vows, the vow to be invisible, the vow to be perfect, are two vows that impact us and impact our money. All right. And I'll talk a little bit about what I use to clear that. I use tapping. I use the peace process. I use meditation. I use a bunch of things, energy healing to heal that stuff up. Okay, the second money block, and if you guys have questions, please feel free to interject. I never know when I do these Facebook Lives, sometimes people don't ask questions, so I always come prepared with stuff to talk, but I don't necessarily want to be in lecture mode all the time. So if you have questions, please chime in. And I'll definitely make sure we have a lot of time for questions. Second money block is financial trauma. And so financial trauma, hang on. A financial trauma is something that happened in your life, and you can look back and you can say when you think about that situation, if that hadn't happened, I'd be so much further ahead. Okay? So common financial traumas are things like it could be a divorce, it could be loss of a spouse, or even the death of a parent when you were younger. It could be a bankruptcy. It could be many types of different things. And a financial trauma is no longer a financial trauma when three things happen, right? You neutralize it in your nervous system. That's usually the missing piece for most people. Secondly, you see the gifts in it, right? You understand that it was for your benefit. You understand there was something, that it was part of your journey. Okay, so you see the gifts in it, you learn something. The third thing is that you're taking action on your calling because of it. So, for example, let's say someone went through a bankruptcy, all right? And they see the benefit to it. They see it help them maybe become more diligent in their business dealings with people. They learn things from it. Maybe now they coach and help other business owners prevent bankruptcy. So that would be taking the gifts and the things you learned from the trauma and then using it in a positive way to help others. Okay, so kind of incorporating it into your calling, all right? So those three things need to happen to make a financial trauma no longer a financial trauma. What I think is missing for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people, especially all you fabulous spiritual women, right? You understand that we're all kind of on a journey and that everything's for our higher good, right? Everything in our life, as Wayne Dyer would say, is for our spiritual growth, which I really believe that. But I think the missing piece for a lot of people in this trauma is neutralizing it in the nervous system. So I don't think everybody does that. And I think there is residual stuff in our system that needs released. And so peace process is great for that. I use tapping too. I find tapping is just an awesome tool. If you're not familiar with tapping, it stands for emotional freedom technique. You guys all familiar with tapping? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Just give me a yes if you are familiar with what I'm talking about. Tapping, or EFT, stands for emotional freedom technique, is really a way to kind of release things from the nervous system. Thanks, Kathy. And for some reason, I think it really helps in Carol, are you not familiar with tapping? Okay, tapping stands for emotional freedom technique. Okay, I'm going to explain what it is. Tapping is a common vernacular now for what stands for EFT. Evelyn, Frank, Tom. Okay, EFT, emotional freedom technique. And it's really acupuncture without the needles is one way to describe it. You tap on these certain body parts that are meridians, like energy lines in your body called meridians. Acupuncturists use meridian lines or energy lines in your body. And it does something with releasing trauma that you don't know is there, okay? And I'll give you another personal example. This was such a freaking aha for me. It kind of threw me for a loop, okay? And I'll explain. I had 10 years of sleep issues, not related to financial things, but indirectly probably. So I had sleeping issues for 10 years. And I had a coach help me pinpoint. All she said was, when did it start? I said, 10 years ago. Okay, what was happening in your life then? And this is another thing, you can't see your own stuff, right? So what was happening then? Oh, that's when I really started to realize my marriage was going down the tubes. So it related to this fear, deep-seated fear and insecurity that I had that was causing sleep problems. And I swear to God, I tapped 2 days on that and it totally changed my sleep pattern. So it was oh my God. It just made me realize how much is kind of embedded in our nervous system potentially that we're not aware of. So when I say neutralize the nervous system, I'm usually talking about peace processing, which many of you are familiar with, tapping, and also meditation, because I find that meditation is also a way to release traumas in the nervous system, and I've been a big meditator. So that's financial traumas, right? Neutralize it. See the gifts in it, and use it in a calling. Take it forth and help others, or use it as part of your mission in the world. So that's financial trauma. That's number 2. Third trauma, or money block, is setting outrageous goals. And that may not sound like a Sylvia has a question. How do you tap if you want to work a chakra? I have some scripts for different chakras. It's not so much the chakra that you're tapping on, Sylvia, it's the vow. Okay, so for example, we have the vow to be invisible, right? That's the one that you said you have, the vow to be invisible? Yeah, the heart chakra. Okay, so what you would do is tap on the feelings and the thoughts that you have around that. So for example, here's a tapping that I would do around my vow to be perfect, okay? Like you would go, oh my God, right? I screwed that up. Why the heck did I do that? Like I made a mistake, right? So you kind of just, the way that I tap is I voice all the negative first. So you kind of do this negative rant. It's a really easy way to tap. You basically are just getting the stuff in your head, you know, verbal. You say it while you tap. So you're basically just, you know, voicing your negative stuff as you tap on it. Because as you tap on saying it, it makes it less true. All right. And so I use this in my coaching a lot. A little hard to go into all the detail here, but you know you're healing it when you can visualize it and the picture's different. All right. So a lot of times the vow to be perfect will go back to childhood too. So you can, if you're aware that you have this vow to be perfect and that it's blocking you, as a simple tool, you can just tap on the negative thoughts going through your head. Like, why didn't I do it right? Oh my God, I screwed that up. Like, what is wrong with me? Everybody else is making progress, but not me. I'm still stuck here. Like, what the heck, you know? Yeah, does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, there's lots of EFT practitioners. I've studied with Margaret Lynch because she's a tapping into wealth guru. So she uses money as the metaphor in her tapping. And I actually learned tapping years ago from a therapist who was pretty awesome, a pretty progressive therapist. Okay, so the third financial block, third money block is setting outrageous goals. And that is triggering. So most of you know that as business owners, it's important to set goals. But it's also statistically shown that most business owners don't set goals, which is kind of crazy, okay? The reason they don't set goals is because it's very triggering. Like, what if I don't make that goal? Okay, that's why a lot of business owners don't set them. But here's the thing. If you don't set a goal, then by default, your goal is where you currently are, all right? So very, very important to set goals, but it can also be triggering. And it's triggering because you freak out the left side of your brain, all right? So when you set a big, outrageous goal on it, I'm going to make, $500,000 by the end of the year, let's say, and it's already September. So you freak out your left brain, the side of your brain it's logical, needs to know how to get from point A to point B, all right? So you freak it out. It's like in shock, all right? Because it doesn't know how to get from point A to point B, all right? And so that's why tapping, peace processing, dealing with the emotional attachment to setting outrageous goals is so necessary because you need to calm your left brain down, okay? It needs neutralized, it needs loved and soothed because you have to allow it to calm so that your right brain, I have my phone on this sticky thing that's supposed to be sticking to my laptop. Okay, I'll hold it just in case. So, because you want the right brain to be, you want all the inspiration, all the ideas, all that you need from your right brain to come through. And if your left brain's so active and noisy and loud, it's not going to happen. So that's why money block number 3 is setting outrageous goals. It's a contradiction, right? You need to set them, but setting them is triggering. All right, so you have to neutralize. You have to kind of neutralize that left brain. so that you're open to all the inspiration and things you need and the energy that you need to move forward. All right. The fourth block is goal trauma. All right. So a goal trauma, something else that's kind of probably sitting in your nervous system, unbeknownst to you, possibly, is a goal trauma is when you went for a big goal. Okay, let's say you went for something and many times you did it despite like naysayers in your life, people that were poo-pooing your idea, saying it's not going to work, you're so stupid. And so a goal trauma is when you really went for something and it didn't work. Okay, and what happens when that happens to you, right? It failed. You failed at it, but you believed in it. It was something you put your whole heart and soul into. Your nervous system is trying to protect you now. Hi, Andrea. Your nervous system is trying to protect you. So that's its job, right? It's the flight or fight nervous system autonomic response to protect you, right? And it's saying, oh no, the next time you try to set a big goal and your nervous system is saying, oh no, we're not going there again. Because look what happened the last time. You didn't make it. It upset you. It's not worth it. Okay. So a goal trauma is, it's necessary to neutralize that and to really heal that, because when you set a new goal, you need all the energy that you have to be able to put forth into your new goal. And so having a goal trauma will kind of subvert that energy, right? It'll dampen what you take into your next big and bright goal. So that's, fear shows up for sure. Faux show, as Jennifer Mayers would say, right? Faux show. Fear shows up, Sylvia, you're so right. And so neutralizing the past trauma is important as you're moving into your next goal. And fear shows up with a lot, right? Not just your next goal. Neutralizing fear is a big deal for most of us humans. Okay, so the fifth money block is called a hidden agenda. And a hidden agenda is an underlying reason that you have a big goal. It's an underlying reason for reaching a goal that has nothing to do with you sharing your gifts and expressing them into the world. So hidden agendas kind of sound like this, okay? When I finally get there, I'll finally feel, you name the emotion. I'll finally feel safe. I'll finally feel secure. It can also be something like this. When I get there, I'll finally prove to blank. I'll finally prove to my spouse, my mother, my father, my sister that I'm worthy, successful. You see where I'm going with this. And someone asked me the other day, actually not too long ago, someone asked me, well, sometimes proving someone wrong is like a motivating factor, right? And maybe you've seen people that use that as a motivation to succeed, okay? And that can be true, right? Except that many times you're going to self-sabotage in another area of your life, because the only reason that you should be going after a goal is because you want to fully express your gifts and help other people, right? So what the hidden agenda will do will subvert energy, right? So maybe it doesn't subvert enough energy that you don't reach your goal, but maybe it subverts energy so that you don't take care of yourself and then you have a health problem. Does that make sense? So the hidden agendas are another block that have to be cleared so that you're not trying to reach your goal for a reason other than sharing your gifts and following your life purpose. Okay? So anyway, so those are the 5 kind of money blocks that I usually talk about. But in reality, in addition to those blocks, there's also the ideas, and you guys are all spiritual too. So there's also the idea that you're on your path, right? We're on our journey. And so much of our journey includes, kind of staying true to who we are. So it's not just the blocks, it's these underlying vows that are pretty important too, to clear so that we're fully expressed, right? So that we're not living in our defense. And some of the work by Rhys Thomas is really profound, where you really get to see, he has a quiz. He has a mini life purpose profile assessment that you can find on his website, Rhys Thomas, RHYS, Thomas.com, that helps you kind of tune into what your life purpose is, what your personality type is. And I love what he says too about integrating the lower and the higher self. Debbie Ford is one that talks about the shadow a lot. But anyway, Rhys's stuff is great for kind of tuning into what your strength is, what your personality is, your primary and secondary, and then also, highlighting, what that looks like in the light and what that looks like in the dark and in the defense. So anyway, his work's good too. Any questions I can help you guys with? I talked about the five money blocks, different tools that I use. I should also invite you to, if you're not already a member of my Facebook group, join me there too. Savvy, Smart, and Rich Business Owners is my Facebook group. Savvy, Smart, and Rich Business Owners. Please feel free to request to join that group. I also have a class coming up. I do a 6-week money masterclass, I call it. The next one's starting October 13th. It's going to run through November 17th. So if anyone's interested in that, just ping me and I'll send you information on that too. What I do in that class is basically go through several different processes that help you uncover, early childhood stuff, any financial traumas. Then we, provide tools to help you clear that stuff. So thanks, Anne-Marie. Miss you. Any questions at all you guys want to talk about? Just let me know. I have no idea what time it is, but guys have any questions? Okay. Carol has one. If you have a hard time finding the feeling in your body, how can you improve that? I am not good at the peace process. Okay, so Carol's question about how to find things. Okay, there's one question. I'm going to address Carol's question about not finding things in her body. Yeah, Carol, I can't relate to that one because I find all kinds of stuff in my body. I'm sorry that you have trouble with that. But I think the more you try to focus on it, the more it's going to help you. I think that's what Christian would tell you. If you're looking, he's like the peace process guy. And what he would say to you is if you could feel it in your body, where would it be? So I would use your intuition, all right? If you're having trouble really finding it physically in your body, use your intuition to tell you where it might be. I would start with that and see if that helps. If anybody else has any ideas on that, please feel free to chime in. Kathy has a question. How do you prioritize which blocks to work on? That's a good question. I would start, just because everything seems to emanate from childhood, I would start there. There's usually something lurking in early childhood programming that is impacting you today in ways. There's actually a process I take people through called a money map. It's a money blueprint, so to speak, but I take people through the 5 steps, 5 parts of money, and then help them that helps isolate what's the most important. It's based on the feelings, the traumas, things that have occurred in your life. Without doing that, I would just use your intuition, Kathy. You probably know which of the ones I talked about is most impacting you now. Childhood programming is I usually start there because usually things emanate from there. Okay. Anne-Marie, what's a realistic money goal versus outrageous money goal? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, when I do that process, outrageous money goal is usually doubling what your current income goal is. Okay. So if your current income goal, let's say, is 100,000, what I'm trying to process and help people isolate their feelings, thoughts, and traumas around setting outrageous goals, I usually have them double it and then see what happens there. So here's what to do for that outrageous goal thing is, what I would have you do is say, okay, write down your current income goal. And then I would have you answer 3 questions, right? First of all, I would have you rate. I can do it. Say, I can do it, and rank that from 1 to 10 as being 1 not very true, 10 being very true. So when you think about your current income goal, all right, say, I can do it. Scream it out. I can do it. And then, how true does that feel to you really? Okay, so if it's anything besides a 10, then understand, like let's say you have a 7, for example. If it comes out as a 7, then just understand that only 70% of your energy is going to go into that goal. All right, and that number will usually go down. When I say double it, I say, okay, double it. We're going to do outrageous goal setting, double that. So now it's 200 grand. Okay, say, I can do it. How true does that feel? And usually that will go down because people will feel less excited or that will feel less true to them when they double the number. So if it goes to a 5, okay, if it only feels like 50% true that you can do it, then only 50% of your energy is going to go into that goal. So it's pretty enlightening, let's say. What are some of the other questions? So you do I can do it. You do I deserve it. Okay, say that one. Use your regular income goal and then do the outrageous goal, which is double. Say I deserve it and rank that one. Okay, those are some of the tools I help people kind of, it's really telling because unless you're a 10 on those, there's a sometimes large portion, there's a portion of your energy that's not going to go into really working that goal or believing it. And your beliefs translate too, right? Okay. Okay, any more questions, guys? Yeah, so when I do coach individuals, this is usually a big topic for most people. If you're a business owner, no matter what kind of business owner you are, everybody has money issues. Oh, thanks, Anne-Marie. Yeah, so I like to take people through these processes because it really does help. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, again, join me on my Facebook group, Savvy, Smart, and Rich. Love to see you over there. And I'll talk to you soon. All right. And if anything comes up, if you're watching this or anything comes up later that you haven't thought about and you want to chime in, just put a comment in, into the comment section. I'd be happy to get back to you. Okay. Love you all. Thanks for all showing up. Talk to you soon. Bye.